Hello everyone, this is Mark Rivera with GenreOnlinenet on YouTube, and today I am reviewing for you all the Coke Vision German import of Dune 1984, directed by David Lynch. And the reason for my reviewing this particular copy is this is probably one of the most in-depth versions of Dune you can get on home video yet. I mean, I have a feeling that there's always going to be something that succeeds it. Nevertheless, this was released, I believe, in 2021, and it was available only in Germany. You couldn't get it from certain retailers. Just like there were some places you can get it from, but I don't think Amazon was shipping it to America, that sort of thing. So this was strictly a German import. Now I'm gonna take this apart and show you how it looks. First off, I want to just show you guys that it comes in this beautiful acrylic plastic case, and when you do get it, it comes within a box, of course. And there's this slide out. You can see here, slide out lid, and then you have this covering, which is easy to remove, as you can see here. You take that out. That's just a cover. Now this is actually on the box itself when you take it out, and because the box is wrapped in plastic. As you can see, there was a 16. I guess it's something equivalent to what would be a PG-13 type of thing in America. There was a 16 labeling on there. But this is what would be on the inside, on the outside of the box with the inside of the plastic. Okay, the box is otherwise just a nondescript box. And then here, you're using Google Translate. You can read this German note that basically tells you, it's like a welcome type of note, I guess. And now we can actually get to what we really came for, which is this set, which you can only get now really on eBay, although I've heard that they are going to release this set in a less extravagant version. Probably that means it won't come with some of the physical extras that this comes with, but you'll get the discs, which I think, especially if it's made available where you could import it freely, it's definitely worth it. Otherwise, I'm going to just tell you all right now, this is specifically for big fans of Dune. If you're in America and you already have the previously released version from Arrow Films, I highly recommend that you just stick with that if you're not that much of a fan, because pretty much the Arrow Films version gives you a lot for what it gives you, and it's a lot cheaper than this set. Now, this set can go for as much as $300 on eBay. So that's why I'm saying this is really for fans, okay? Okay, so anyway, it comes with this soft cover book. It's really nice and pretty, okay? And basically within this book you have beautiful color photographs of the original costumes. And I could tell you from experience that I back in 1984 during the summer, we had a family vacation to California, Hawaii, etc. And this is Cal McLaughlin. And basically we went to Universal Studios when we stopped off in Los Angeles, and I remember there was this huge Dune exhibit that they had, where they had costumes from the movie, and they had these monitors that were playing the trailer for the film. And this was the first time I had seen anything from Dune, okay? And this is the first time since then that I've actually seen some of these photos. Actually, I didn't really see these photos, I should say. I've seen the costumes displayed in such a way. You can see here production design work. This looks like effects work, like you know, but these pictures are really nice. Like some of these pictures I've never seen before, like for the fighter over here in the lower right. This looks like the device that's hanging over the Baron when you're in his room where the doctor's working on him. Okay, here's the navigator, and you can see how this looks like a miniature version of the navigator, but you can get an idea. I can't show you every single page on this book because if I did, then there would be no reason to get the book. But it comes, as far as I know, this comes exclusively with the set. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you probably, if you look around, you might be able to, you know, find some, maybe you'll find a book that has these photos and whatnot. But the beautiful thing about this, though, is it does have these wonderful color pictures. So I definitely think it's well worth it just for that. If you're a super fan, that is. And here's David Lynch with other filmmakers. It's a really beautiful book. So, and since it's mostly pictures, if you don't want to use Google Translate, you don't have to. There's some nice notes here, interviews, etc. Overall, it's a beautiful thing. And then you have, here's the classic picture of David Lynch. And there's Raffaella De Laurentiis, daughter of Dino De Laurentiis, who she helped produce the film. And Dino, of course, was the executive producer. And Dino De Laurentiis, responsible for many films here in the United States, including King Kong in the mid-70s with Jeff Bridges, as well as Flash Gordon in 1980. So him having Dune was a big deal. And, well, going into the history of the making of Dune would take hours. So I'm not going to do that because this is a review of the set. So here is the book that it comes with, okay? And now, next piece you get is a reproduction of the original Marvel comic book. Now, I don't recall if this is the actual cover of the Marvel comic book, because I remember when I was in high school, I did have it. But back then, when they would produce a cover for like a comic book for a movie, they would usually come in the size of a magazine, as opposed to regular comic book size. So this literally is closer to like what I would expect to see if this was republished in English and sold in an American comic book store. This size, size, etc. It's a nice glossy cover, soft cover book, nice paper. And as you can see inside, it's a reproduction in German. Because remember, this was not released in America, of the original comic book adaptation made for the film. So you get the entire Marvel comic, and this is at a time when, you know, home video was in its infancy, and this was made long before, you know, this was drawn, put together long before Dune was ever even available on VHS. So like looking at this picture right here with Dr. Huey standing over Duke Leto, there's a good likeness to Jürgen Prochnow as Duke Leto and Dean Stockwell as Dr. Huey in that photograph. So, you know, if you've ever seen the comic book adaptation from Marvel, the original Star Wars, and you compare it to later adaptations, you'll get the idea when I say that the likenesses here are much better. That's all I could say, you know. And I think that's a fair comparison since, you know, Star Wars owes a lot to Dune. Anyway, so this basically gives you an idea. And what's also interesting is the ending of the graphic novel. There's some other pictures right here, but, you know, I guess, I don't know what you would call these, but before they actually colored them, you know, just the original pictures before the color artist came in, you know, colored up the photos. And these are the original comic book, original release issue covers, you know. And see, once again, though, this is a really good likeness, because you got to figure that no matter what they had back then, this would have been basically based off pictures at best, because I seriously doubt they shipped over a reel of the film to show the comic book writers and illustrators to see what things would look like. So to get it this spot on is really great. So kudos, because this is long before, much longer before the advent of, you know, home video. I mean, yes, VHS was already in everybody's home by this point, but when this was produced, they didn't have a videotape. Anyway, what's interesting about this particular version, though, as opposed to the American version of the graphic novel, is that this one has what was in the theatrical release ending. So this is the theatrical release ending, as we know, which is significantly different from the ending of the book. Whereas in the American version, it stops right here with the line from Lady Jessica telling Chani, "We who carry the name concubines shall be known as wives," which is the, I'm paraphrasing here for so those of you who have encyclopedic knowledge of the novel Dune, don't crucify me. But otherwise, you know, in the American graphic novel or comic book release back in 1984, this was the last frame. So I guess, I'm not sure if this was if Dune was released before in Germany or after, but this extra page here, as far as I remember, was not in the American one. So at least that's as I remember. I could be wrong. I mean, I wish I still had that, because if you try to get it on eBay, you'll pay a pretty penny for it. So I'm actually grateful once again that just even to have it in German, because I have a huge Dune collection, not necessarily of the books, but let's put it to you this way. I have the original novel, but the hardcover one with these beautiful paintings that I imported from England. I have on DVD the original American release, as well as the extended edition release that came in a steelbook. I have the imported from England, the TV special edition, but that's only pan and scan. Then I have from Germany the Paradise edition, which is a great DVD for those of you who are really into menus and stuff, because there was a time when DVD menus used to be fully animated, etc. And like that kind of that type of extra attention they used to give to the art form of DVDs and making them, they don't really do so much anymore, not even for Blu-ray. So now it seems like even on the digital copy side, you don't really see anything elaborate. I mean, but they used to really be an experience when you'd see an interactive menu for a home video, and I kind of miss that. This first off in here comes with the American one sheet. Okay, so personally, I've had this framed a long time ago, but if I were to frame it, I don't think I'd frame this one because I'd want to keep it within the set. But this is not hard to get. You know, you can probably get this in a, you know, off Amazon or that sort of thing, just the poster itself if you wanted to frame it or something like that. But you do get a reproduction of it, which is really nice. And the paper is, again, high quality. It's not like cheap paper. Now here is and I didn't realize that this was the case, but this is evidently the German one sheet. Okay, so evidently when Dune was released in Germany, it was released under Der Wurstenplanet, if I'm saying it correctly, and if I'm not, sorry. Okay, but this is the German one sheet. Okay, and it's interesting. I mean, this in itself probably might be cooler to frame because of the fact that it's so different from anything we have in America in terms of the artwork. Now, let me just get this a little bit closer down here for you all. As you can see, I have doing things a little bit differently, but a little bit easier for me. I got a tripod, and so this enables me to actually show you things using both hands instead of being handheld. So within here is the film. Okay, now there's these little pockets. I like the way they you know, they have something on the spine, etc. Okay, this has the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray disc version of the film, and this will work on any player regardless of whether it's American or not, because 4K Blu-ray discs are not regionally encoded. So this will work on anything. However, I would not buy this just for this disc alone, because you can get the Arrow Video one, which comes with the 4K video version of the film, and albeit different artwork and whatnot, but you know, if you're just looking for it in 4K, it's going to be the same theatrical cut. I don't know if it's the same exact print, but it wouldn't surprise me if the source materials are very similar. Now this is, it comes with the Blu-ray disc, and this is where of the theatrical cut. So this is 4K theatrical. This is the regular HD Blu-ray theatrical cut. And I love the artwork. I just love production artwork always. It just you know, my only complaint with Lynch's Dune is in some areas I wish that he kind of brightened certain scenes up, because sometimes it's like you want to get a better idea of the definition and the scenery around. And one of the things with Dune is that I think that in hindsight, it could have used a little bit more levity, you know, just something to brighten it up somewhat, just to make it more palatable. Although, you know, a lot of people are very happy with it. I mean, I love the film, and it is accurate for the most part to, you know, how most people envision it, at least up until recently. Next is, so those are the first two discs. Now we have another two discs here. Okay, and these are the supplemental discs, and these are, once again, you're going to need a region-free Blu-ray player for. And as you looking here, you have the disc 1 contains both archival and new stuff. But one of the things that it has here is Sean Young has on YouTube the Super 8, her Super 8 home movie footage that she shot when she was on the set. And that's included on these discs. And look, if you were buying it just for that, you could download it off of YouTube, or you can watch it on YouTube anytime. That's not a reason why I would invest in this set just for that. But as you're a super fan and you want to have it, then I would say, yeah, you know, you get this, new interviews with Jürgen Prochnow, archival extra features, and more. Okay, I would show you all these things, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm doing show and tell and not demonstrate and tell, is because this is copyright material, and I don't want to get flagged for a copyright, because Universal is extremely protective of Dune with good reason. So that's the reason why. So you have a video archive here, and you also have new material. So one focuses on the new material, and the other focuses on what is, you know, been previously made available, which means a lot of this stuff you probably already have from previous releases, including the Arrow release, which in itself has its own, you know, set of things that I think there are certain things that might be on the Arrow release that if you're a super fan, you probably want to just hold on to everything. But then again, a super fan of anything is probably going to want to hold on to everything, because in addition to what I was talking about with all the different versions of Dune that I have on home video, including besides the Blu-ray release and etc., I still have my Japanese Laserdisc import. I have the Arrow 4K box, and of course, this is the German import. Okay, now this is discs 5 and 6, okay? And in here, what you get is the extended edition in widescreen, as far as I know, and that's very important. Like, this is an important thing, and I'll tell you why. From what I understand, Universal is not going to make the extended version available in widescreen anymore. This is what I read someplace. And if that's the case, that means the only way you can get the widescreen version and an optical disc of the extended TV edition is either if you have that extended edition DVD that was released in America in the mid 2000s, which contains both the theatrical cut and anamorphic widescreen. And at the time, it was a great, nobody had, I think, had ever seen the television extended edition of Dune from 1988, basically released in widescreen. Every single copy I've ever seen in home video has always been pan and scan, including the original Japanese Laserdisc imports, which for their time, even that was the only way prior to the days of DVD and whatnot. There was a time when the only way you can get Dune in America was pan and scanned, either on Laserdisc or VHS. But if you wanted to see it letterboxed or widescreen with letterboxed, you would have had to have gotten it from Japan until eventually Universal released the film letterboxed on both Laserdisc and DVD in the late 1990s. Okay, so now on Blu-ray disc, I believe this is the only way you can get the TV version in widescreen. Now, I have to be honest with you. I haven't looked at this myself yet because when I got this in November, I got very ill. I had COVID first time. It knocked me out. And then I had a severe ear infection that knocked me out. I thought it was related to COVID, but it wasn't, thank God. And so I never got to do this review sooner because I was very sick after I got this. And so that's the reason why I can't tell you for sure whether this is the way it is perfectly, because I don't want anybody to buy this and then come back and say, hey, you said in your review that this is in widescreen. I bought it and I spent a lot of money and it's in pan and scan and I'm pissed off. I don't want to be responsible like that. So I'm just telling it to you like it is. I'd rather be honest than tell you guys something that's not 100% been checked. That's not the way I work. Okay, now this is another exclusive to this set, is the Spice Diver version, which is kind of like, it's a fan edit of the film that's probably as close to getting the David Lynch 1984 version of Dune in some kind of semblance of the way the book, the closest enough to the book, which will never be 100%, obviously. I mean, not even the Denis Villeneuve Part 1 and Part 2, or John Harrison's Dune miniseries are 100% to the book. To paraphrase Harlan Ellison, Dune is one of those books where everybody that reads it, it's like reading Melville and Moby Dick. Everybody in their mind has their own version of how that should look. And not everybody likes the John Huston version or the version that was released on television with Patrick Stewart. And there was even a later release version, I believe. I don't know who's in it, but I think they've done multiple adaptations of Moby Dick. And so Dune is up there, though, which is a great compliment also to say that, Dune in terms of science fiction literature is up there with Melville is, a considerable and a worthy compliment to the book. So basically what I'm saying is that the best version of Dune is always going to be the one that you imagine when you read the book. That's always going to be the best cinematic version. Outside of that, it all comes down to preference. I love the Denis Villeneuve versions thus far. I like the John Harrison version. I love the David Lynch version. If I could mix and match, I used to tell people with regard to the John Harrison version and the Lynch version, I used to think to myself, well, gee, I wish I could trade William Hurt, who I never felt really played Duke Leto well. I used to jokingly tell people, Paul, it's desert power. Where's craft services? I mean, basically, I don't think that he was disinterested, but kind of, I think William Hurt just was not the right person for that role, mostly because he just couldn't communicate, in my humble opinion, the love that for his son the way Jürgen Prochnow did in the movie. Jürgen Prochnow really did a great job, and Oscar Isaac did a fantastic job as playing Duke Leto. So, you know, it's nothing against William Hurt. William Hurt's a fabulous actor. May he rest in peace. But I think for Duke Leto, Jürgen Prochnow, and Oscar Isaac, in my humble opinion, and you can disagree with me, were better choices to play Duke Leto than William Hurt. But hey, at that time, back in 1999, 2000, when it was actually broadcast, having William Hurt, who was an Oscar-winning actor, was a big deal. So, you know, it's in the same way that for the sequel miniseries, they brought on Susan Sarandon. And, you know, all things considered, you know, these things do make a difference. You know, can you imagine? I mean, Timothée Chalamet, who's playing Paul now, is already been proving himself to be a talented actor who's probably going to really become more and more commercially available in movies. And I've seen him on Saturday Night Live, and I'm really amazed by his talent. And I've seen him in other movies like Bones and all, where he's really a great actor. And, you know, I'll always love Kyle MacLachlan as Paul. I'll always remember Alec Newman as Paul. But I think Timothée Chalamet is probably, his interpretation of the role is definitely up there with, you know, I mean, we only have 3 people, but I think Timothée Chalamet is definitely one of the best, you know, at least according to how I feel about it. Again, it's extremely subjective. So getting back to this, now the Spice Diver version you can watch on YouTube for free. And while they're not going to tell you to download it because it's not something that legally you could sell, because it was created over the course of I don't know how many years from various sources to create the Spice Diver version. But I can tell you that if you really wanted it, you can download it off YouTube, or you can certainly watch it anytime. It's readily available. And just type in the search engine on YouTube, Dune Spice Diver Edition, and you'll find it. It's not hard. And compared to the extended edition, the Spice Diver Edition is much better. As for the theatrical cut, the Spice Diver Edition is a great companion to it. So I kind of liken it to the early attempts at trying to make the despecialized version of Star Wars, which is another one of those things that is legally only available on the internet to watch. You know, you can't legally buy it. But, you know, the difference between Star Wars and Dune, however, is that Star Wars is a bigger IP than Dune. And there's just no way you can argue that. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that Star Wars is better than Dune. They're just they're quite different, you know. So anyway, so that's the 2 discs. So these are both, you need a region-free player to watch them. So you get the extended edition and the Spice Diver edition of Dune here. Okay. Then finally, for disc 7, you get the soundtrack CD, which you can get anywhere. I have the CD, and while actually this looks almost exactly, if not exactly, like my soundtrack CD. So this is basically a reproduction of the original, I guess, 1984 release CD with the soundtrack by Toto. And, you know, it's quite interesting to have it. I mean, I have it. It has a few voice clips from the film, particularly the He Who Controls the Spice Controls the Universe line, as well as the opening with Princess Erlin is on the soundtrack. And I always like when they do things like that. You'll hear that like on the Flash Gordon 1980 soundtrack by Queen, or in Tarantino in his movies when he releases things on audio CD and whatnot in the past. They usually include in between movie clips, and I kind of like that. It almost makes it feel, you know, it just enhances the experience for me personally. It's a matter of personal preference. So disc 7 is the audio CD, which you can still get more than likely in some, you know, at Amazon or something like that. And to give you the soundtrack choices here, and basically that's it, you know. And so within here, you just have this foam protector, and basically you have the 7 discs. So it comes with the audio CD, the extended edition, and spiced ever edition on Blu-ray, regionally encoded. So you, once again, you're going to need a region-free Blu-ray player to view this. 2 discs of both new and archival extra features, bonus materials, including the Super 8mm video from behind the scenes that was shot by Sean Young. Okay, that's on here. Although, once again, both the Spiced Ever Edition and the Sean Young 1984 Super 8mm behind the scenes footage is available for free to watch on YouTube. So, you know, again, if you're a mega fan, you might want this. But if you're just a casual fan or whatever, just be aware that a lot of these things, as nicely packaged as it is, you can get elsewhere for free or for cheaper. And that's important to know. Okay, now, and as for whether or not I'm correct about the television version being widescreen, I believe it is widescreen on this and nowhere else. But since I wasn't able to check it while I told you guys, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that once again, because I don't want to be responsible for somebody who may import this and then be very disappointed because it's not what I may have said in a video. And this is not coming as an endorsement. Like, I'm not being paid to do this. I bought this with my own money. So, you know, I'm a super fan, and so I'd be happy regardless just to have this. I mean, I wanted this for more than a year, and then when I was finally able to get it, I jumped on it. And then finally, you have the theatrical cut, once again, with like all the other Blu-rays in this set, the regular Blu-ray discs. You need a region-free Blu-ray disc player to watch it. And this is the only part where any Blu-ray player that's capable of playing 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray discs can you watch the theatrical cut. But if you're going to buy this just for that, you're better off getting the Arrow version if you're in the States, simply because to import something this expensive, you know, and I'm not saying that, I don't even remember what the suggested retail price was, but the fact is that you'll probably pay like $300 or so on eBay for this. You know, it's not worth it. If you're looking for it on 4K, you can do much better with the Arrow version. So just saying, in that respect, if you're in America and you just want it in 4K with some extras, get the Arrow version, especially if you don't have a region-free Blu-ray disc player. Okay, so basically you have 7 discs, and we just went over them all. Okay. So basically we have 7 discs, and we just went over them all. And then we have the German poster that I showed you earlier, the American poster that I showed you earlier, the German version of the original comic book adaptation. I mean, now we would call it a graphic novel, but back then, you know, it's not that graphic novels didn't exist as we think of them. It's more along the lines of, pardon me, it's more along the lines that they, you know, right, I think almost, other than comic book stores referring to themselves as comic book stores, practically when a person thinks of an adaptation of a film or whatnot into illustrated like this, they're going to call it a graphic novel. But back in the 1980s, comic book version was kind of one way of describing it. Especially if you weren't, you know, because back then also comic book collecting in terms of, you know, you got your more collectible titles that would come out in the mid-1980s. This came out just on the cusp of that. And, you know, I'd just say that the comic book adaptations of films and that whatnot, and original comic book titles being referred to as graphic novels really, I think, took off in the 1980s around the time of this release, which is why I call it the comic book adaptation purely because of my memory. But otherwise, you know, you can call it a graphic novel. But either way, it's in German, so you're going to need Google Translate if you want to read it and you don't understand German. Then lastly, you have the beautiful soft cover book with production photos and whatnot, costuming. Then you have, this is on the outside, I keep it on the inside now, the card. And then this is the cover card that goes in here like this. And then the acrylic cover. Okay, the spice must flow, everybody. So this has been my review of the Ultimate Edition, I guess that's what you can call it, of Dune that was released in Germany by Coke Vision. It's out of print. See, I got the cover on, so that's good. So it's out of print, and you can only get it now on eBay, but I do believe they are going to release one that doesn't come with some of these extra value features in terms of the, you know, the book and that sort of thing. But for the super fan, if you can get it at a reasonable price, I highly think it's worth it. Otherwise, I appreciate your time and consideration. I can't wait to see the new version of Dune, and I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're in New York or any other place on the East Coast where it's freezing cold, or the Midwest, wherever you might be, I hope you're all staying warm. And if you're in some place where it's nice and warm and beautiful, I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Okay? Thanks again for watching. This is Mark Rivera at GenreOnlinenet YouTube signing off, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.